Welcome back. It's open source. I'm here with Hunt Ethridge. Full disclosure, Hunt's a buddy of mine. We met on Clubhouse. We became friends on Clubhouse. I've hung out with him. His his daughter might be in love with me. It might happen. It might happen. She's very, very young. Um, I don't know. She'll have to deal with that in therapy. But let's talk about Clubhouse though. It's interesting. So we met, over the internet during the pandemic. We made a lot of other mutual friends over social audio, right? This idea that you can join a live podcast with people all around the world. Like, how powerful was that experience during the pandemic?
I think for those of us that did join Clubhouse during the pandemic, we'll all have that kind of little fist bump that we'll be able to do with each other because trying to explain it to a group of people that are unfamiliar with it is really difficult. But it created a sense of community when we had none. It brought in new friends when we had no one to talk to. It was really a lifeline for a lot of people, and probably literally. There was a lot of depression going on, myself included, during that time, and just being able to connect with other people was huge. I even wrote an article that got picked up pretty well on how it's changed the world of dating because, like dating sites, or if you go to a singles event, the energy is weird. People know why they're there. And it's just can be off. But if you have a barbecue, or a third place that, a pool hall where people are just gathering, talking, hanging out, being themselves, that's where the real chemistry and happens between people. That's where you get to see the real versions of people, what their values are, and things that are important to them. And that's what's really going to draw you closer to someone. So that had a really profound effect on the dating world.
Do you think that the intimacy of social audio is what makes it so powerful? Because as you are, I'm active on other social media platforms. I know a lot of people, but Clubhouse was a very special experience, and I think it's because it was so intimate. It's almost like you're talking to friends on the phone, sometimes for
Yeah.
hours. Is
Yeah.
this the kind of intimacy we need to create more in the technology age?
100%. I think I just read an article recently about dinner parties are going on in France, and instead of just talking about like the weather and stuff like that, the host immediately sits down and says, "Okay, what was one of the most challenging things that you guys went through as a couple?" And it's just like, okay, let's get into like real conversations. And because people are kind of missing the emotional intimacy that you get when you talk about things that really seem to matter in people's lives. And instead, we just kind of hang out on this surface level stuff. So I think that, well, basically in 3 to 5 minutes, if people don't access each other's emotions when they meet each other, they start to get put into boxes. We can always climb out of boxes, but the longer you're in a box, the harder it is to get out. So let's just not deal with boxes. Basically, we don't know how to emotionally communicate with each other anymore. And when somebody learns this, sometimes they could get shut down by somebody that doesn't like that emotional intimacy, and then that person doesn't want to share again. And so when you can have a place that's a little bit anonymous, like Clubhouse, but not exactly, like your name's attached to it and things like that, I think it allows people to open up and share things that they may not even share to their friends.
Yeah, look, this is the power of intimacy. Although I will say this, I'm going to push back on myself. How dare you, Bobby Del Rio? Bob Man, what kind of name is that? Um, why hasn't social audio become more popular? Because ever since the pandemic kind of ended, although did it end? This is a bit of a debate. Um, Clubhouse kind of died, and it's not like people are really using social audio. Why not?
I'm kind of curious that myself, why, the easiest answer is that the world opened up and we went out and, found other stuff to do. But, you know, I'm not really sure about what I think that we need. I think that people take for granted now that we can talk to more people and that we go out, that we don't need these curated spaces to share thoughts and ideas. And I think that that is a wrong way to think about it. I think that people, because the world is opening up and like a person may talk to 500 people on threads in one day, and they think that that is what they need. That's their dinner of human emotions. And they're not realizing that it's just like a TV dinner, and they're really, really missing out on the meaty, good, emotional connections that you have with people that are messy and ugly sometimes, but are ultimately wonderful and joyous. So what are you
So,
gonna do?
so you're basically telling me I eat TV dinners every
Yeah, but they're really
meal
good ones.
all the time.
You.
You're never coming back. How dare you? Unfortunately, I have to deal with him for 2 more segments. We've got Hunt Ethridge here on Open Source.